Guys, welcome back to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath Holland. I am joined by the maestro of Hamilton book, Richard Hamilton. Richard, this is your second time here. Thanks for coming back to Serial at
Yes, no.
Midnight.
Heath, thank you for having me back. I really appreciate it.
I have to ask, I don't remember if I asked you this the first time we talked. Where did the Golden Wheels name come from?
It's actually it's actually a sports nickname. I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan. There was a receiver back in the 60s, Albert Dubenion, and he was so smooth and so fast they called him Golden Wheels. I picked that up as my moniker. Oh God, we're going back to the 90s, early web days, and everybody thinks I'm a guy that has like a Cadillac with golden rims. It's kind of funny. It's not me at all, but I get why they would think that.
But now you kind of need to do that because that's
I got
it's
to
the
lean into
expectation.
it. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, but you're all, the big money Hamilton book mail
Well, I'll
order
tell you
service.
what. Thanks to my Blu-ray customers and all our customers in general, I probably could afford some nice golden rims. Now we're put it back into the company and the product and everything else, but Blu-rays have been one of our only areas of growth over the past 8 or 10 years. Books are holding static, and obviously DVDs are going away as a medium. So it's great to have a growth area in our catalog, and Blu-rays are it.
Okay, hold on. You said DVDs are going away as a medium. DVDs still outsell Blu-rays by like 3 to 1.
DVDs still outsell Blu-rays by however many they say it does. From my perspective, I guess it goes to the way I'm working now and what's happened to my part of the business. I very rarely see studio lists anymore. We discussed this the first time. I think it would be I would see Sony, Warner, Fox, Uni. I would not often see them direct because you got to have pretty big dollars to go direct with the studios, but through a second party, and we would do big 100, 150, $250,000 orders of all DVD product. I have not seen a studio DVD list in since pre-COVID, essentially. Might see Sony once in a while. It is stale, it's tired, it's old, it's the same crap that's been bouncing around between stores. Whereas Blu-rays, now that the market is just kind of dominated by the middle size labels, obviously the big studios are still very important, right? But the movies that people think are really neat are often getting sub-licensed out to Arrow or to Blue Underground or Shout or whatever other license or library they've picked up. And I'm direct with those guys. So I will get a direct list when their license expires or when they feel like they need to lose some product or whatever else, and they'll bring me the Blu-ray. So my Blu-ray supply has gone up and down, but it's stayed pretty consistent because I have good relationships with those the medium-sized guys. The majors I have not heard from, and I beg my headhunters, my list guys, please, I've got money to spend, and I still have the catalog customer that if I could get 600 copies of Gone with the Wind, 720 copies of Bullet, the classic, the Hollywood stuff, I can still sell it. It's not out there. It's not made available to me.
Hmm.
And the fact that the stuff is still manufactured and sold, I know a lot of it is newer stuff, which they're way, way tighter on allowing on less. Often, contractually, I imagine, I really don't know, but you often won't see newer movies on an overstock list 2, 3 years minimum. If you see something new, you often have to be careful. It often means it's used. You're getting red box returns or something like that. Because they protect their new movies a lot. They've got a lot of money invested in them, and they protect them fiercely. So they keep them off lists. Disney, for instance, you never see on a list ever. They don't overstock any of their stuff. Criterion doesn't overstock any of their stuff, which I respect. It's annoying to me. I'd love to get it. It kills me to think of them selling it off themselves and shredding the rest, but they're protecting their product value, which I totally get. But the DVDs, the $5.99, $7.99 normal DVD has disappeared from my world being made available to me, which is interesting because, like you said, they still sell. So where are they going? I wish I could
Yeah.
tell you.
That's what's really interesting because and we should tell people one of the reasons we're having this conversation, you and I behind the scenes were talking. I was like, come back and do an update. Let's just kind of check in and see what's happened since the last conversation. That's what this is. I mean, there's all these headlines about who is it that's getting back into a GameStop is going to start or has gotten back into selling discs. And then I had read, I still see them in grocery stores. I'm like, where are these
Yes.
things coming from?
And I probably am dealing with a lot of the same list brokers that are doing shelf stock on grocery stores and stuff like that. In fact, in some cases, They're probably taking back grocery store stock, resorting it, and selling it back to me very cheaply, of course. But this product just kind of all goes around in circles till eventually it ends up in the shredder. And sometimes you pass hands with the same stuff over and over with people. Sometimes a product goes dead on you, and then a year later you think it's rested, and I'll try it again, and they've still got 10,000 copies or whatever. So some of this stuff, even some of the stuff I'm finding in the Blu-ray world, is actually stuff that's kind of aged out. I have access to the company that bought out all of Olive stock, but it's not like it's a growing library, right? It's the titles, and as they sell down, the titles kind of get worse. The good stuff goes quickest. So I'm doing everything I can to find new resources for product. And what's happening more often than not is I've been forced to go back to the drawing board on old sources with product, and that can work too. I say to people, listen, this is dead, but if we can sharpen up the price, we can make it live again, or we can package something or whatever. But it's been hard to find new product, and I have the money to spend. It just, a lot of it's not being made available to me. It's frustrating, very frustrating.
What's interesting about this too is that I talk so much to the distributors. I talk to the companies that make this stuff.
Yep.
Mostly that's who I talk to. So to get the retail perspective on this is kind of eye-opening because it's almost two different narratives. You have the people that are selling it and the people that are making it are, it's the greatest thing. Well, they're not all.
That's their job, right? They got to blow it up. Yeah.
There is like an element of used car sales to it. Like it's the greatest ever. But so how do you feel about just the general physical media marketplace? There's always physical media is dying. Where do you stand on any of that?
I'm more concerned because what you saw a couple years ago, and you'll see it in your Instagram threads or Blu-ray.com or the forum or whatever. Oh my God, I went into my Best Buy and they took my section away, or they took my section from this and they made it this.
Yeah.
And, I didn't worry about that 2-3 years ago too much, largely anecdotal examples. Sometimes individual stores have reasons for doing things. They get this edict from corporate or whatever. It doesn't mean it's happening all over the place. But I've seen enough of it now in enough places where I can see that I think virtually everybody except for Walmart, and maybe even Walmart, has significantly shrank their footprint in the store. They've decided that square footage is now worth more to sell spatulas, whatever they're going to do is now worth more. And once that happens, they don't often start getting bigger again, right? Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it like this. You're seeing the end of the road, I think, for placement into stores in a major way. I think you'll always have end caps. I think you'll always have cardboard blowouts of 50 different Disney titles and the Star Wars stuff. They're going to find ways to get key product into stores. But the days of going into a Target and seeing 2 or 3 rows and just walking up and down and seeing something you didn't know existed, I just can't think it's ever going to happen again.
Yeah.
And again, I told you I was going to be droll and depressing, and it's because I'll be honest with you, it's just what I see. I wasn't worried about that stuff in the past, and now I just feel like it's happening. I feel like the shrinkage is finally happening, but that's also putting more responsibility and more opportunity, I hope, into the middle-sized guys that we talk about. And they become even more important. I mean, I don't like to pick on anybody in particular because I have friends at most of the labels that I like, whether it's a salesman or a product procurement guy. There's some companies in the past I've worked with, they give me a library, they say, Rich, what do you want to see? So I've got guys that give me a lot of access and they do great things. But I hope people are thankful for what they have with Arrow, because it's going to be hard to find a label in the future that will do that many movies in so many versions and be willing to discount the product fairly regularly. Somebody like a Criterion could very well come along and be just that everything, and give you that premium product and never lower their price. I feel like Arrow plays both sides very well. They give you a pretty premium product. When push comes to shove, they're going to do the Barnes & Noble 50% sale. They're going to give me great access at the end of the year and let me do a sale. They want to do business. And so far as labels that are going to take on, I mean, they've probably done hundreds of movies at this point. I don't know their library by heart, but it's pretty amazing. I think they've quickly gone past just title count what most of the other labels have and really built them. So, but you need all of them. Like I said, you need your Synapses, your Blue Undergrounds, your 88 films, your Arrows, whoever else in Mondo Macabro, whoever else I'm missing, people I might mention that don't even exist anymore. 1-7, whoever the label used to be or was. all those guys together come together to make a really, I think, a good, thriving middle ground for the market. The only issue there becomes is everything kind of starts as a collector's edition, it seems to me,
Yeah.
and there's no 14.95 basic version. You know, when I went to order the Conans recently, it was okay. I got to get the Conan 4K. I got to get the collector's edition that's limited. I got to get the standard Blu-ray. Well, even the standard Blu-ray is not, let's say, inexpensive. And this is Conan, and you've seen it 10,000 times. It's
Right.
been on Blu-ray 10,000 times. I feel like there needs to be more of a bifurcation between a bargain version and a premium version. I don't mind the premium version for movies I really love, Jackie Chan stuff, Shaw Brothers, Godzilla. I want the slipcover. I want the after effects. I want the second disc with the stuff with the director. But some of the movies I just don't care and I want to pay $8. And I feel like that's been lost. Nobody puts out a cheap version of anything anymore for the guy that just wants the bare bones movie. And maybe they decided there's no market for that. They know that better than I do, frankly.
Well, who's to say, right? I think a couple of things are happening. The prices to license the films, what I hear, are going up. It's
Well, yeah,
getting harder to
yes,
get those movies from
yes.
the boutique side of things. And I also think that once the distributors figured out that they could charge $50 for a box of like any movie, any kung fu movie that you've never heard of is now getting a $50 release with like art cards in there and
Yeah,
posters and stuff.
that's it. That's it. Right. The soup,
Yeah.
not just a slipcover, but art cards. You know, maybe a music CD of the soundtrack. I mean, they are just. It's gone kind of comic book with the die cut cover and your holograms and everything else, and that's fine. Like I said, I have a couple of those deluxe versions. I'm very proud of them for the titles that I have. But it becomes a very pricey proposition for guys that want to fill their shelves, that want to have a lot of movies like you do behind you. You know, it's rough. And I love that Arrow does put out those multiple versions of things, but everything has just gotten so expensive. And like I said, they know their costs better than I do. So I don't mean to throw too many stones.
Sure, right. But okay, so are you saying, I don't want you to give numbers. I'm not asking for numbers, but do you see that aspect of the business model continuing to thrive, or do you think that that's kind of tapering off too? Like, is that a healthy model?
So no, it's not a healthy model because eventually what it depends on, in my opinion, is you are depending on a smaller and smaller group of Uber collectors. And that's fine, right? I have a shelf behind me at home like you have. I
Mhm.
have total respect for guys that have 10,000 things of physical media at their house. I sell physical media. I love it.
Yeah.
That's not for most people. And I think there is a certain thing. I collect video games, for instance, and I'm 45 this week. All right. So I go in my basement and
Happy
I have,
birthday.
thank you. I have thousands of video games, every system. And you reach a certain point in your life. And I think this happens to everybody. And you look around and you go, what am I going to do with all this stuff? What
Yeah.
do I have? And again, I don't even have time to play half the stuff and get my Turbo Graphics out and play it. I don't have the time. And I think that's a pretty human thing. So I think collectors cycling out is just what's going to happen. And as Uber collectors cycle out and they don't spend $1,000 a month, you know, are people going to continue to buy 50, 60, $70 editions of stuff? One thing my uncle always told me, that we drove by a business once and it was a catalog business, and we met with them, and I came away and I looked at my uncle and I said, they're doing everything wrong. What are they doing? They're so stupid. And he looked right at me and he said, they've been in business 20 years. He said, if they're doing something that you think is wrong and it's working for them, you should try and figure out why it is working for them. You know, so if this model is working for Arrow and everybody really, because I don't, again, not speaking, everybody's prices have gone up. Synapses and Blue Underground's beautiful collector's editions are also not inexpensive, right? Those steel books and stuff. So it just kind of, they must be doing the math. It's got to be paying the bills and keeping the lights on and doing everything right for them. But I don't think it's healthy long term. I think you need a bunch of people that really believe in having a collection of reasonably priced physical media because they don't trust Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, anybody to keep their stuff online. And the further we go in this online environment, the more examples there are of things being taken away from you. I was watching an interview, Louis Rossman video earlier, and he was talking about Redbox and how Redbox just cut the cord and people lost access to their points, lost access to their digital movies. And he points out, you know, it says right here, you bought it, you own it. You don't own anything. You own the access to the bits as long as they decide that you have access to the bits. And the minute they don't, they don't. If people get that through their head, I think they would value physical media a little more. Maybe some people don't. I get it. My kids, the idea of having a shelf full of movies,
Yeah. Well,
it's
that's what
not a thing.
I was gonna throw that in the mix too, is because people that are younger than us, they do not care. And if
No,
something's not streaming, okay,
they will
there's
watch it.
so much out there that there's not enough time already to see. I mean, think of some of these anime shows, right? How many? There's like hundreds of episodes of these
Yep.
anime shows. Like, there's plenty of other things to watch. I
Tons
think
of
movie
content.
culture is gonna maybe die out after we're
And that's the thing. And that's why my only hope is to I hate to say it, but get people a little afraid that that thing you love might be taken away from you. That like that Berserk anime, the original one from 97, maybe that won't be on YouTube for free forever. And you really do want the Blu-ray of that, because when you want to go back and watch Berserk for the 150th time, it's not there. And you go, oh my God. And the license is expired and you can't actually get a copy except for off eBay. I get that that's a hard sell because, frankly, it's tough times for people. It's tough times for kids, disposable money. They're busy paying for their apartments and their phone
yeah.
bill and gas in the car. So I get that a physical media collection, yeah, there may not be much of a market for it, but I'm buoyed a little bit by what happened with books and the Kindle. When the Kindle came out, I'm sorry, the Nook actually, which was the Barnes and Noble one before the
Mhm.
Kindle. That was oh my God, every Publishers Weekly and everybody in the book industry. Oh no, the Nook, the Nook, the Nook. Nobody's going to buy books. Ridiculous, because they're not great experiences. You can compare that to streaming, right? When you're watching a 4K streaming, that's not actually 4K. And then the bitrate buffers, and it looks like crap. And you go, man, if I had this on disc, it wouldn't look like that. Um, and it's kind of comparable in that it didn't kill reading, it actually amplified it, because there's a certain kind of reader. It's a little egotistical. You want to have shelves full of books behind you. You want to show your personality a little bit through your collection. You can't do that with a Nook, just like you can't do it with your Netflix login. Nobody, oh wow, he's into anime and God, you can't tell that from them. And maybe it's stuff you don't want to advertise. Actually, I don't know. That's whatever you watch. That's up to you. But it's collecting things is a lot of somehow you show your inner likes, your desires, what you're into. And that's why I hope there is always going to be some hope for physical media, because we thought books were going away and the whole book industry was terrified of it, and that wasn't the case at all. It increased reading, if anything.
Yeah. Well, how are our books? Do you see any change in the book sales through Hamilton Book?
No, well, so we saw a big split post COVID. During COVID, we had more work than we could handle. It was difficult, obviously, with distancing rules and everything else. Connecticut, thankfully, allowed us to stay in business, but the rules were tight, and because everything was so uncertain, we followed them to the letter as best we could, and it slowed down our processes quite a bit. And we had 50,000 orders on the board at one point, and if my uncle had seen that originally, he would have burned the business down. We had never been more than 10 or 15,000 orders behind at our worst point. And it was depressing for us because we take pride in serving our customers. I would pay money to be 50,000 orders behind again. The catalog sales are like this. Now, we kind of always knew mail order, cash, check, money order. This is a limited. I'm well beyond baby boomer with my customer base, right? COVID killed off some of my customer base, quite frankly, forced even the most Luddite ones to finally try the website because it sped up their process so much instead of putting in snail mail back and forth. And it forced people to other options. Like I said, there's more people out there that are more paranoid about using their credit card online than you would think. Like,
Oh
just
yeah.
won't do it,
Yeah.
And COVID kind of forced you into an online world. There was no choice anymore. You couldn't go to the store and pay cash. So it got a lot of people off their rocker on just being comfortable with online buying. So we have seen a bump in our website. The website bump is not made up for the catalog drop, unfortunately. But we're very lucky in that I'm the only stockholder. There is no board to please. There's no profit target to hit. Everybody gets paid. We get our bonuses at the end of the year. We move on to the next year. We have a big war chest in the bank because the COVID taught me the world is very uncertain, and you never know when you might get shut down. God forbid, 6-12 months, and you really have to have a plan for that. And now we do. So the catalog business is going down. The web business is showing me a little bit of hope, and Blu-rays are a big part of that. It's not even. and it probably never will be. I'm probably never going back to my sales of my pre-COVID days unless for some reason there was a renaissance in mail order catalogs. And I can't see it. I
Yeah.
can't see it
It's
somehow.
just
You
a
know, I have to
different
be
world
honest.
now.
Yeah, it is. It is. I have the last buggy whip factory, is what I've been told, you know, and you don't want to be the last guy that's making buggy whips because it means, yeah, you own the market, but nobody really needs them. You know, you
Yeah.
never want to be the last guy in anything. And Daedalus does still exist. There is another mail order book company, but they're not of any size compared to us. We're really the last mail order. What are the last true? I mean, you know, you get a catalog from LL Bean or something now. It doesn't even have an order form in it. That's a web pusher. That's not a
Mhm.
catalog. They don't want you to order from that. They wouldn't know what to do if they got cash in the mail. We'll open up an envelope down the hall here, and I'll get 300s from somebody's grandma buying all these books. And it's really, I'm glad that we still have those customers, but they're not forever.
Yeah.
And they don't make any more of them. Like you said, the kids are not interested in that mode of shopping.
No, no. How, okay, so we're painting a not a grim picture, it's just
It's
reality.
it's
And
it's
that's
reality. It's reality, man. The market is changing big time. Yeah.
how what so I guess the thing I want to talk about as we kind of wind it down is what is the role of the customer? Because some customers, some of the people watching this and listening to this are going to think, man, I'm already tapped out. I'm already spending. I mean, there's people spending like $1,000 a month
I
on
just
movies
I
and
just
stuff.
wrote a letter to one of them this morning, and I'm incredibly impressed because they had a problem with some of their product, and I looked at their customer history, and I'm like, okay, this is not a guy that complains over nothing. He's got a legit complaint. And we try to treat everybody the same, but you know, you get new people, and the first thing they have on their first transaction is a complaint. You have to really make sure you investigate it because there's a lot of people that try and take advantage. We have such good customers now. We trust them, and I'm constantly impressed by the amount of money they spend. And every month, like you said, those mega buyers, they're here
Yeah.
every month.
What is the role of I guess what I want to do is I want to like talk to those people. You know, I want to say like, okay, what do we expect from them? Because they alone, well, like, we don't want to send anybody to the, well, I don't imagine we want to send anybody to the poorhouse trying to
No,
support companies because it's
no,
you know, I get a lot of stuff for free because I report on new releases for the labels. What
me
I've
too, buddy.
witnessed, this is interesting. I don't know if I don't think I've ever talked about this on a video before. I used to be like a folk hero or something. Be like, oh, Heath loves it, and obviously I do love this stuff, but I get so much now. The tone has turned, and now they hate me. Like you can tell, a lot of my viewers are angry at me. It's because they're jealous because
Jealous.
like
What
nobody
you
can
got?
afford all of what's
Yeah,
coming out, and so
yeah.
there's hard choices that have to be made, and
Yes, your
that's
unwatched
what I
pile
want to
can
talk
only get
about.
so high.
Yeah, I mean that we're all running out of shelf space, we're all running out of money, and we're all running
Yeah.
out of time.
Yep.
Those are the three barriers to any collection. And I think maybe the focus here that I want to put out is to support independent businesses like Hamilton Book, do it
Appreciate it.
responsibly, do
I
it in a
appreciate
way
it.
that doesn't it, if you have a choice between buying something from an Amazon or buying something from Hamilton Book, go with Hamilton Book, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Buy from us when we're the cheapest. My goal always, and I tell all my vendors this, if I can't beat Amazon, especially with the Blu-ray, there's often no point in me even carrying it. Blu-ray buyers are very price specific. To the point of a couple pennies making the difference of them again because they've got they've got another next month's buy they want to do. They might have 10 more. They got to make every dollar count, and I respect that. My job is to beat Amazon. I take great pride in beating Amazon. And if you go on and you look at our just click the Blu-ray thing and go top to bottom and look them up versus Amazon, we compare super favorably. And in some places, I kick their ass. And I take a lot, you can tell, I take a lot of pride in that because Amazon doesn't care about you as a customer at all. I don't know if anybody's noticed the old days of Amazon, like you make a complaint and they just send you a new one and
Yeah.
say, keep it. Don't, those days are over. Now they want it back. They want a reason. Your return is, they're a normal business now. They're going to treat you like a number, which is what you are to them.
Yeah.
You're not going to get personalized customer service. I've got Ariel down the hall. I've got two or three other ladies. They understand Blu-rays now. We maybe didn't at the beginning, but we understand the issues now. We understand the concern over conditions of slip covers and the difference between editions. We care about our customer. We have to because not only are we pretty generally nice people here, my family works here. I like the people that work here. We got to keep you happy so you'll come back. and maybe buy some other things that I don't beat Amazon. So I always, and I've advised people in the forum, pay your bills first, get your products wherever they're cheapest. My job is to get them as cheap as possible. And if I can't do it, I got to work harder. I got to go find a better source. There's some stuff that's not made available to me. And I have to be careful how I word this. Amazon has deals with certain labels that contain certain terms.
Yes.
Let's just say
Someone even told me, hold on, let me pull that. This is just like this thing in the back of my head that I'm trying to remember. They have like wholesale deals with certain distributors and warehouses where they can actually get things at cost or just a little bit above cost. And so they can sell things. Oh, it was records. I was watching a record store talking about how he has to pay like $22 for Jimi Hendrix Greatest Hits or whatever. Walmart can get it for 18 and sell it for 20, and they've already undercut him. So they get it cheaper and they can sell it cheaper.
yes.
So they have little special things that they are able to do.
Absolutely. And as the 800-pound gorilla, they get it.
But, if you pre-order things from Amazon, you might get it 2 months after it comes out. The idea that they have it in the warehouse and they're going to get it out to you on release date is less and less of a reality. And we've been talking about your business model. Now, you do a lot of that, like discounted wholesale style where you pick up deals, but you also have, you mentioned you have all these relationships with distributors. You're
Absolutely.
getting stuff like the month it comes out, it goes on the site.
Yes.
Let's talk just a little bit about, you have new product. It's not all.
Now I want to be clear. All of our product is new, but there's a giant difference. We have to really differentiate.
New release.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because for years we fought the perception that we sold used books because our stuff was so cheap. Yeah. And I have no problem with used books. Much better than them going to a landfill. Everybody should be reading. $1 book is great, but we don't sell used books. We sell only new stuff. So yeah, so far as new releases, I cut much less of a margin there than we do on anything else. But having the new releases, I think, is important because when people come, like they did on Monday, and we've got 10, 12 shout titles at $5, they're there and they pick up all the Hammer ones, they pick up Manitou, they pick up something else, and then they go, well, Conan's there, and it's $5 more than Amazon, but Rich has already saved me all this money, and I'm about to do an order, and they throw that new one in there for me. And guys, I appreciate that 1,000,000% because I know you could get it somewhere cheaper with 2 extra clicks, and you wouldn't even have to fill out an address. So we offer things, and I've seen the real collectors do that. They cost balance their entire order. The math really got me loud. They include the shipping of 4. They're like, Rich, even if we include the $4 shipping and this one I paid too much for, when you cost balance them out, I still, the way they think about it and value their dollar is very interesting. So we've got to have a little bit of everything. I don't make a ton on those, but I want to be able to offer them to the customer. An interesting thing happens with some of the limited edition sets. We only list things once every 4 weeks. If I missed the street date and it was right before my drop date, now we're a month late. Often we're not the best price anyway on especially the super collector's edition. They go get it from Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But then that Arrow thing they only made 500 of sells out. And I've still got it at stock price, and it's on eBay for 100. And suddenly my deal actually looks halfway decent because it was my original price all along and it's sold out. So as long as it sells to somebody and they're happy with the product, we don't have to make a ton of money on it. It's even for me, it's cost balancing. It's the overall picture. Did we do well overall? I coordinate with the guys on Blu-ray.com. I forget sometimes, but every other new arrivals batch, I go through and I do a drop of price cuts because you can't just let stuff sit around. I'm like that corny old-fashioned used car salesman where the guy says, we bought too many cars, we're out of room. That's real here. We have no room. There's no room here at all. I can't have shelf space being taken up with stuff that's going to be here for 2 years. Whack $5 off of it. Doesn't happen? Whack another $5 off next month. Get it out of here. We got to keep stuff moving. So we'll get rid of the stuff one way or the other, but I'm happy to have that new stuff. And we've gotten stronger with it. I'm coming closer to beating Amazon's pre-order prices on stuff. Again, I don't make a ton of money on that stuff. It doesn't matter. If the customer's happy overall and we're making money overall, not everything has to create the same percentage of profit. I want to be a stop where if a Blu-ray collector gets my catalog, they go, oh, cool. And they just can't stop flipping. I want that same thing on my website. Oh, I've got that, but I didn't know he had this. I didn't know there were any left. Oh, that's so cool. I want the site to be interesting. A big part of a catalog being successful is being browsable. Being, oh, there's something neat on that page, something neat. I want to have cool stuff, and I want people to browse around on the site and go, oh hell, I just got to get that copy of Joysticks or whatever, and they
I'm
throw it
on
around.
that release. I'm on
Just
that
see
copy.
there. Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
interesting. So, and I also want to point out that even though I don't watch nearly as many movies as I used to, because we were talking about time and everything else. I have a 30-foot shelf at home, Blu-rays, DVDs. I have thousands of videos. I am a true physical media guy, so I get it. And when I see something that I think I have good instincts at least for what people are going to find to be neat. I miss stuff here and there, and that is another role of the customers. They educate me. I have learned so much. You think I know stuff from being in industry, not compared to some of the fans in the Blu-ray thread who live it because they love it, not because it's their job 9 to 5, but because they enjoy knowing everything about the label or about who made it or the producers or whatever else. So we're so thankful for all of our customers, old, young, book, Blu-ray, whoever they are, and I'm open to any suggestions, any ideas. It's hard for us to carry other types of product, and people have suggested toys and games at times because the way our shipping system works with the USPS becomes very cost prohibitive. But from a vendor perspective or a label, if there's somebody that I don't have, there's probably a reason. But if somebody's rich, why don't you go get them? I'll try. I'll go see. And a lot of time I don't know about the label until the fans. I didn't know who Indicator was until some of the fans. Oh, this is great. And I'm not with them, but I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep trying to get the product in. Sometimes it takes 6-8 months of knocking on the door, being a pest, getting people to speak up for you that are in the industry. Yeah, he's all right. He pays on time.
Let's talk. Okay, people assume because of my situation with physical media and being an online personality that talks about it, like I've become the center of people air grievances to me, and everybody
You're going to take it right to
assumes.
the vendor, right?
Yes, they assume that. Oh, do you see what? I mean, it's like every day somebody's complaining to me about a label or about a vendor or about something. Like they just don't get it, man. Like why is Hamilton Book not up to date on Indicator? Like it's so disrespectful. Disrespectful comes up like every day in the comments of some video. There's usually a legit reason behind the scenes. This is what I want to
Yes.
say. Like there's usually
Yeah.
a reason why if you want something you don't see it. It's not that
It
nobody
didn't work.
thought about it. There's some barrier there.
Yeah, there's no vendor that has come to me that I thought could work that I turned away because I didn't like them or because I didn't like the product. Whether I like the product or not is inconsequential to me. Is my customer going to be interested in it? And often the only way I'm going to know is if I list some and find out. New vendors are the lifeblood of finding new product. There's less and less of them. That's why I'm thankful for Arrow really becoming quite a monster in the Blu-ray world. I wish they did more with DVD, frankly, but they I got to give them credit for still releasing some DVD versions of the things that they do. A lot of people wouldn't even do that. But yeah, there's often a good reason, and then sometimes when you get something really great, there's a good reason for that. I have great personal relationships with some of the guys at the labels going back 15, 20 years. It sometimes means you can make a deal. Like I said, I've got a guy, not everybody loves him, but he brings me a list and he says, here's this Italian library. What do you think I should press? And I go, and he says, well, why? Well, this one's a Jess Franco. I have fun doing that stuff. Um, so there's almost always a reason. And it's not because somebody didn't want to do the work or make a call or send an email or go to the help desk and say, hey, I'm a vendor. Blah, blah. I used to run into it a lot more in the beginning where people just didn't know who we were. Luckily, I don't have to deal with that problem too much anymore because I've got enough guys that I've dealt with for years now. And like I said, one thing that always makes you a pleasure in any industry is that you pay on time and your checks always cash. And we always pay on time and our checks always cash. And that goes around quick. So when you're a reliable partner to a vendor, all these guys know each other. The guys that have worked at Olive and then moved here and then moved here and they moved and they worked with this guy that worked here and he worked at MVD and they worked at AED. They've all cross mingled at some point. They've all at some point said, oh yeah, no, he's legit. He's a little bit weird. Yeah, but you can trust him. You can deal with him. That kind of stuff goes a long way. But there's less of those labels. And then there's labels that, again, God bless them, Criterion being the number one where they keep their product on the pedestal. They protect it. They want certain. I never agree to map. I have never agreed to map. minimum asking price for anybody who doesn't know what that is. If I buy an item into my store, I require the vendor to tell me that I can sell it for whatever I want. You know us, we don't do flash sales, we don't do nonsense, quick sales. That's so when I need to get rid of it, I can price cut it and not violate the map agreement. There are certain vendors where they said, well, you can't have the Blu-rays for the first 6 months then. And I said, well, then I won't list it because I'm not going to agree to map. I set the prices here, nobody else. So sometimes the reason is that I'm being a little difficult. There is a reason. It might not be a good one, but I like to do business my
That's
way.
you being difficult. It's not you. It's the distributor because I know exactly the company that does that too. Like minimum asking price, you can't do
I
it below
hate
this.
it. I
Yeah.
absolutely hate it. And frankly, I had been doing business with them for so long that when they found out I was technically violating it, I said, well, what are you guys talking about? Because I never signed a map agreement. And they went quickly back through all their files and they have no map agreement with my name on it because I would never sign it ever. And they're like, well, we need you to sign it. And I said, I'm not going to do it. Um, it's
Yeah.
okay because, sometimes you have to play tough with the vendors.
Yeah.
They also need to make their money and they have a lot of people working for them, but most of the people at the big labels that we talked about are great that you're going to find in the middle levels of distribution. You're still getting people that actually care about the movies.
Yes.
It's not just some number to them. It's not just some film. They've got a geek there that thinks this movie is awesome. They've got an art guy doing the art and he really wants that art to be the best. It's not just a factory.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the middle labels are so important to do is to really give these movies a great presentation and a great packaging. If there's any new vendors out there that I don't have in the catalog and everybody wants to suggest them in Blu-ray.com on the YouTube videos that we do, let me know because I just might not be aware of them. But like he says, there's probably a reason that we haven't been able to make it work so far.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you go back and you try for the fifth time, and sometimes it's the sixth time that does it. This is kind of off track, but one person or one company I want to kind of shout out and point out that they do a lot of hard work, and it's interesting because they're a competitor of ours is Diabolic. They deal with all that weird import stuff. All right, guys, I've looked at that. I don't know how that dude has any hair left. When you deal with little labels with 4 titles, it is a nightmare. The people are eccentric, and there's nobody in specific that I have in mind here, but the people are eccentric. The movies are often passion plays for them. They're not willing to deal on them. It's my life's work. It's this, it's that. They speak a foreign language. There's import fees. There's rights. There's the fact that they deal with any of that stuff, that they touch different regions and stuff is baffling to me because I'd love to expand my business that way. They're totally safe. I'm not going there. It's not happening. They are experts at handling pre-orders for all that weird stuff with all these multitudes of little companies. And guys, that's hard work. Trust me. I looked at it because I wanted to copy what they were doing. No thanks. We're going to stick to the overstock part, which for me is totally easy because we treat them like we've treated books for 40 years. To us, they're a product. We've learned about Blu-rays and that's important, but at the end of the day, they're a square that we put in a box. The level of service and stuff that Diabolic gives you is rare and you should support them for it.
That's classy. That was classy.
Well, listen, there's not, like I told you, I don't want to be the last Buggy Whip factory. I also don't want to be the last Blu-ray seller.
Yeah.
And they're the big boy when it comes to weird stuff. Now, I think I have better prices. They could debate that. We could fight about that.
I think
But
you guys think I get you and Jesse Nelson on at the same
I would
time.
love to
You guys
meet. I
get
would love to meet
Thunderdome.
him. Honestly, I really want to go to one of these horror conventions. There's one in Connecticut coming up. I think there's a good one in Ohio. I've never gotten out there. I'd love to meet some of these guys
Yeah.
because I feel like I could commiserate and have a beer with them. And we're competitors in the sense that we're in the same space, but we're really doing two kind of different things. Like I said, the level of service he's offering you dealing with all those headaches is tremendous. And when I see the threads and people complaining that they haven't gotten their pre-order and this wasn't exactly right, I want to be like, I feel for them.
They go like the slip cover has a ding at
A
the top
ding.
corner, and it'd be like a boop, like the tiniest
Like,
little
guys, you gotta chill. You gotta chill. And I mean, so support me, please. I beg it. And I want you to support us because we have the best prices, I think, and great product that's interesting. But support Diabolic too. Support anybody really that's not a secondary company of some giant behemoth just hiding under a different name. Be careful who you're buying some of your stuff from on Amazon. Those are just bullshit third-party seller names of some major vendor. A lot of you even recognize them now. You put 2 and 2 together with who you're getting stuff from. And I think the experience on Amazon is certainly just not what it was even 5 years ago. You used to be
For sure.
treated like a king. There were no questions, no problems. You just got whatever you wanted. You're just a number to them now. And I think that has put the companies like us and Diabolic and anybody else that's willing to give you a personal touch and customer service. Um, I think it elevates us a little bit. I'm not Jeff Bezos, thank God, and I never intend to be. I got enough running books. I don't want to be involved with the CIA or launching rockets or anything else. But I'm on the forum every month talking to guys. I'm
Yeah.
answering PMs. I'm checking slip covers. I own the joint. I don't have to do this stuff. I love it. I love it because they love it. They're impressed that I go do it. When the Blu-ray guys there, my pickers, see me down at the warehouse, they go, checking more slip covers. Like, yep, got to make sure they're nice and tight and clean for these guys. And I've even got other Blu-ray guys. Well, why do you do that? It's my job. It's my job to provide you guys with good service. If I don't do that, I'm Amazon. I don't want to be Amazon.
You have always conducted yourself with a ton of integrity and honesty,
Comes
and
from my uncle and my dad. That comes from my uncle and my dad. I
yeah,
was raised by two guys that showed me how to run a business, showed me how to run a business ethically, and how to. The customer is always right. It's not a truism; it's a mindset, right? The customer's often wrong, but that doesn't change how you as a vendor can behave. You have to act as if the customer is right and make them happy. Period.
yeah.
End of story.
Well, you got my business every single month. When you
Appreciate
post
it.
those dates, I put the dates I go in my phone, and every drop I put in my phone with an alert so that wherever I'm at, I'm like, oh, it's new Hamilton book drop night,
And keep in mind, everybody on the Blu-ray side knows that in the email and in the video I do on YouTube, I say the titles go live on Tuesday. But I'm lying to protect the stuff for you guys. We all know those titles go live Monday evening. I want you guys to get first pick. Now, oh, you didn't know that. That all the Blu-ray guys in the forum know that. And
No, but you said protect, and I want to follow up on that because we do feel a need to protect, and it goes against helping you, right? Because we want to keep it to ourselves. Like I know you're looking out for the Blu-ray forum uh people, and I know you're looking out for the diehard Blu-ray collectors, but I know I've told you, I think we talked about this in our last conversation. A lot of us for a long time didn't talk too much about Hamilton book. Yeah, it was like, well, if too many people know about it, there are no more deals.
I kind of take pride in that. It made me feel very special that you guys are kind of holding me up as the
Yeah.
precious. I mentioned it in the forum several times that the more I can buy with confidence, the further I can stretch out on deals. The further I can stretch out on deals, the more units I bring in and the more titles I bring in. When we open things up, it opens up my ability. Now, that might not be as true as it used to be because I'm basically all in on Blu-ray now. I know what I'm doing. I understood the product. We sold it for many years and I did terribly. I had a lot to learn about marketing because it didn't sell to the catalog customer. And then lo and behold, I find that Mafuni fan is the guy's name, and I love him. He started the thread on Blu-ray.com, and that just kind of helped grow everything. But I've always told these guys that if you read the love, it enhances my ability, and I'm going to do more. I'm maxed out my access at this point, but if somebody came along with a great list of Blu-rays 5 years ago, but I had to spend $150,000 minimum or whatever it was for the order, I don't know what I would have done. Now it's get the pencil out, go get a cup of coffee, let's get to work because I know I'm going to be able to drop 150 on that. I know I'm going to be able to recoup my money and then some. I'm going to have a lot of happy customers. I'm going to have profit. I'm going to have a busy warehouse. But the rule still holds. Please spread the word. And if you like the way we do business, I appreciate people that put out what we really are. I'm not going to lie. We're a big corporation. We make millions of dollars a year. But I work here. My wife worked here. My dad works here. My uncles founded the place. My sisters all worked here. My brother worked here. My sons have worked here. My nephews have worked here. Most of the people in the office have been here 20 years. When I came up here as a kid, they were still smoking cigarettes while they were writing book orders. I mean, inside, it was a whole different world in the 80s. We're a real family business. There are not many left like this. And I don't like to necessarily sell ourselves on personality or we're Yankee New Englanders and hard work, whatever. I like to market ourselves on our pricing, our product, and our service because if we're not doing a good job, I don't care how quirky we are or whatever. But if being a family business that treats people right and doesn't have grand delusions of dominating the world or being any bigger, if that kind of business appeals to you and supporting it, then I think we're the people for you. And we do kind of have that little bit of homey touch still. I mean, like I said, I'm hands on with everything here, and most of my good people are. And I hope that they would, where all things are equal, I hope that they would choose me. Where it'll save them money, they should go with wherever they're going to save the most money, and I'll do a better job next time.
When we first talked a year ago, you were going public. You'd been behind the Golden Wheels name on the Blu-ray forums for
Yeah.
years, and people didn't know that you were, part of the family, that you were in you part of the family business.
I just
And
told them I was the buyer. That was it. Yeah.
yeah, and you told me when you agreed to do the interview, I think it was the first one you did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The
You
first one.
said, I want to let the people on the Blu-ray forums know first who I am because I owe it to them.
I did. Absolutely. 100%. I felt like, well, I won't say I was lying, but there's definitely lies of omission, right? And there's times when they had questions that as an owner I could have answered, but I didn't because I wanted to maintain my privacy and the buyer role. And frankly, I wish I jumped a little sooner. They're probably too protective of me in there. Sometimes when somebody has a complaint or something, I have to be like, guys, don't pigpile this guy. Let me take care of him. He's a legit customer with a legit complaint. And if you think he's being silly, then fine. But let me deal with the upset guys. You guys are happy, be happy over here. Because they're very protective of me, and nobody took any offense. I was really buoyed by that because again, I thought people might see it as being kind of deceptive or whatever. But 100%, man, I'm just not. I'm older, but I'm just period not an online guy. I didn't have Instagram until 2 months ago. I had to get one because of Facebook. I didn't have Facebook until 5 years ago when we started the Facebook here or whatever we did it. I mean, I'm just not that guy, but they've been so kind to me. And it's really kind of funny. I PM with a lot of these people. They want a slipcover check or whatever. You find yourself having a conversation with some of them. You find, oh, you like Godzilla too, and you start talking some movies. They're online friendships. I don't want to blow it up too much, but it's cool talking to these people one to one as friends, as movie lovers, as people that are into the product. And there's not a lot of people in my normal everyday life that I could be like, guys, they're doing another Shaw Brothers box set. How awesome is that? And my wife is looking at me like, yeah, it's great.
She's like, you haven't finished volume 1.
To be fair, I haven't finished volume 1. There's a couple of them I skipped that I didn't love, but we all have the unwatched pile. But I hope that people can relate to us as a business. They can relate to the fact that we're willing to go the extra mile and that we treat them like people. And I want them to be long-term customers. I want them to be happy. And I want them to feel comfortable mentioning us to other people because if we don't, we're never going to grow. And we're pretty big as it is in the book world. Our media world exposure could be bigger, and I'm going to work on that more. And this is part of it, and it's why I appreciate you so much because this stuff doesn't come first nature to me, and you make it very easy for me, Heath. The first time was great. We got a lot of great response in the video. I really appreciate it because this doesn't come naturally to me. But once you get me going, it's hard to stop. So,
well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, you say it doesn't come naturally to you, but you are a natural at this. Like you're a very easy person to talk to. And
I'm
when I
proud.
ask you a
I'm proud
question,
of my family's business, and I'm proud of how we serve our customers. So when it comes to talking about stuff like that, it's very easy to speak up because I say it with no false bravado. It's not just a story. This is an important family business to a lot of people in the Falls Village in the Connecticut area. We got about 80 employees. Employees tend to be long-term employees here. We keep people. I'm proud of the fact that even though they might not like me mentioning it, my office manager, my floor manager, and several other supervisors here, they didn't come in with a college degree. They didn't come in with some fancy thing. They didn't come in with managerial experience everywhere. Most people here started on the floor. They learned the business. Then they grew up, and as Ed recognized important and valuable people, they got elevated. So the best people here have been here a long time and know almost every aspect of the business. And we try and keep our people. So if that's something that people respect and are into, and I hope that they are nowadays, where so many companies just treat their employees like a number. Again, I don't buy from me because I'm a nice guy and you like my hair. But if it helps, I'll take it.
you know what, man? As you talk about this stuff, I'm like, this is the American dream. Like you're doing the thing that we call the American dream. Like
My uncle did it, buddy. Let me tell you something. I tell people all the time, I work very hard. I will never act like I don't work hard, but if it was not for my uncle and a lot of other talented people before me, I'm standing on the shoulders of much bigger people than myself, literally and figuratively, since my uncle was 6'6". My uncle started the business on his bed in the 60s. And the story, which is totally true, it sounds like it's made up, it's not. He would pack the orders on his bed. And if he didn't pack all the orders, he couldn't sleep. That was how he got everything out every night. You can't go to bed while the bed is still covered with work. So that's always the mentality that we've tried to bring in here. And my uncle has drilled it into all of us. And he showed me, like I said, along with my dad, how to run a business properly. And it really was from that time where I think you had a better chance at the American dream. I'm glad we wouldn't have to start up now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It would be very, very hard. And obviously there wouldn't be any point in a mail order operation starting up at this point. But I'm so thankful there's been hundreds of people that have made their careers and their livings here. And I'm thankful for almost every single one of them because they've each added to the company that I got to buy and is very successful. And I get to come into work every day and it's fun. It's expression about, if you like your job, you never work a day in your life. I don't like all the parts of my job. There are some days I'm working, personnel stuff especially is not fun when you have people bonking heads. But when it comes to buying Blu-rays, fixing the conveyor belt, figuring out how we're going to deal with the post office, these are fun problems to have. I love it. So I come to work with excitement every day, and most of the employees do too. And we try and work as a team without, and I say that without we don't do group calisthenics at the beginning of the day. We don't sing mantra song. There's none of that corny stuff. We've all known each other long enough that we're all working towards the same goal, getting as many orders picked every day as we can, and then coming back and doing it the next day. We're all on the same team because we are, and everybody feels it. So I'm proud of this place. That's one thing I'll never be shy about or anything else. I'm proud of my family's work. I'm proud of everybody who's come through here. I'm very proud of this business.
You make it easy to want to support you in the business there.
I hope so. And if I do something wrong, I want to hear about it and I want to correct it. Not from a PR perspective, but I'm going to do something sooner or later that's messed up because accidents happen. And when I do, I'm going to take all the bullets and we're going to apologize and we're going to go back to square one and we'll start over and we'll do a better job. That mistakes and stuff like that are inevitable. But that's another way you prove yourself to the customer. When you screw up yourself, you take it on the chin, you make it right for them. Those customers will come back to you forever.
Good place to leave it. Is there anything we should have talked about that we didn't?
No, I think we got everything I wanted to say. Support all your mid labels, no matter who they are. Support the vendors that you might say compete with me, like Diabolic. Support them. If we all want to be in this movie collecting universe and we all want to keep the product coming, support them. I'm not worried about you supporting Warner Brothers or Fox or any of the other guys. They got plenty of money. They got theater money. They'll be just fine. Support the guys in the middle. Those are the guys that need your help. Even the arrows and the shouts, stuff like that. Support them. Those are going to be the ones that actually care about you as a fan.
Very good. I'll put links in the description of this episode where, for the website, for social media, everything.
Thanks.
Richard Hamilton, thank you so much for coming back to talk to me.
Heath, thank you. It's been fun.